for you at the end, which we'll talk about when we get to it. Peter Stevenson from Sky Sports, if you would like to have the first look.
Vincent, good afternoon, you well?
Good afternoon, yes.
Can I just ask, good win for you in midweek in the Cup. What has that done for confidence in the camp generally?
I think it's just been a good set of performances in recent, certainly in the last 3 or 4 games. But we know obviously that we were favourites. We had to win the game, but it always feels good to do the job.
And now you've got old manager Sean Dyche in the next round at Everton. Do you think about that yet? Can you get excited about going to Everton?
It's a month from now, but I think for the fans, for the players, it's always exciting to look forward to a cup run, and I'm sure stories will be written about the game at the time. But for now, the focus is Newcastle, of course.
All sorts of different theories about whether a cup run gets in the way of a league campaign. Have you found it a nice distraction?
I think it depends of the squad you have. I think that's a big factor. We wanted to be prepared for a first season back in the Premier League with a squad where we had options at least, and therefore our squad is fairly big. The quality is quite even, so there's not one that's miles better than another. So that for every position we've got genuine competition, but it allows us with the extra game to see those players in games like yesterday.
Newcastle put 8 past Sheffield United, then they knocked City out last night of the Cup. How much do you relish the challenge of going to St James's Park?
I think that's what you're in the game for. I mean, for every tough opponent, for every team you play of that caliber, there's also a small opportunity of doing something special, something that you'll be remembered for. And you go into the game looking at the opportunities and not necessarily the consequences of the fact that they're a very, very strong team.
They've got PSG in the Champions League a few days later. You've got Luton a few days later. Does that complicate the situation a little bit when it comes to team selection? Have you got to think about both games?
You talk about resting players for the Newcastle game. I don't think that's for us. Every game is tough for us in the Premier League. So yes, we trust that if a player is injured, we've got players that can step in and do the job. But in terms of playing the game, every game we try and play the best team for the game. So tactically, there might always be something you wanna see in a game that's different. Newcastle is a very different game than Luton. Luton's a very different game than Chelsea. But for those games, we'll always try and put the team that we think can get a result.
And you seem to be a very, very big fan of young Wilson, who played in midweek and scored a goal. Are we going to see him in a first-team shirt in the Premier League soon, do you think?
Yeah, it's a matter of time. But I think one of the things I've been able to do as a manager is see the... how can I say, the star of a lot of talents. It's been a feature of my career as a manager since day one. And it's all about timing in this case. So don't force the timing or don't stop it when the momentum is there. But I think it could be next week, it could be next month or in 6 months' time. It's a matter of time because talent always comes through and the mentality of the kid is brilliant. So it's just a matter of time.
How good can he get?
It depends. At his age, it's easy for me to say that he's a good player, and I take into consideration the fact that we played against a League 2 opponent, of course, but he's already played league and football, so it wasn't like his career debut. He's played men's football before. But with these guys, you just watch the habits, and if the habits are good, then he has the talent like a lot of talented players I've been able to play with over my career. But there's a big part that plays in your head, and you don't see it at that age yet. It takes a little bit of time.
Vincent, obviously there were a couple of changes to the starting 11 for the League Cup. Going into this game at Newcastle, what is the team news? Are there any players that are giving you concern right now?
I think just the obvious one, players that went off during the game, like Benson. And it's not bad news, but on the short term, it has an impact on the squad for the weekend, yeah.
When you look at Newcastle, what do you see in them? What areas for concern are there?
No, there's a list of areas you can name. I mean, they've built the squad very, very well, and I think the manager gets them to play in a way that makes them vulnerable to very few things. But there's no point turning up there if you don't have an idea of what you want to do, to give yourself a chance. And yeah, stepping into the Premier League, we knew we were not always going to be the favourites. So we had the feeling again on Wednesday of being the favourites in the cup, but in the Premier League, it's not something I've experienced yet, and certainly not the case again for this game. But I see so many opportunities, and in terms of it's a moment you can take, and that's something exciting for me, and that's the mindset for going into this game.
Yeah, when you talk about that mindset, just how critical is it that you ensure the players do have that mindset? Because as we heard from last week, they put 8 past Sheffield United, they beat Manchester City in the League Cup. It would be very easy to go there with some intrepidation.
Yeah, I hope we don't. We can't. And look, I won't pretend that I can predict the nature of the game. The only thing is I have an idea of what I want the nature of our team to be. And okay, we play against good side, but we fought very hard to be in a league where we get to play against good sides. And there'll be many players in our squad who in the future will be part of those good sides, and hopefully, or in the best case scenario, will grow within our squad when we become one of these, So it's something to look forward to.
And I know we're still in the relatively early throes of the season, but with an international break just around the corner, how important is this particular week coming up for you to ensure you get points on the board?
Yeah, every game. You don't know the order of and when your points will come. They might come in a game you don't expect them to, and they might not come in the games you expect them to come. So I've been, I think, long enough in this league to know that you take nothing for granted, and every game you try and get an opportunity. I would say though is, and I told you I'm a rational mind, and I looked at a calendar at the beginning, and 6 out of the 8 first games we've got in the schedule, so until this international break, are against probably the so-called Big 8 in terms of budgets and squads and everything they've assembled. Not many teams have taken points off them anyway, But that means that at some point the other teams arrive as well. So staying calm is a big part for me of any kind of period we're going to go into before the international break, and just making sure that the performance of United, the result against Forest, that these things are things we can continue and see even in the next 3 games, despite the level of opposition, because then you're bound to have this again when you play the teams that are nearer your level, probably.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Adam?
Hi, Vinny. You just alluded to it there in terms of the team getting better and progressing. What stands out for you in terms of how the team is progressing after 5 Premier League games, and what gives you optimism for the future?
No, I think Newcastle is a big test, if I'm honest, and I would always put it on the calendar as being a big test. I would love to. It's difficult to predict because of the threats and the weapons they have, but there is something there for us in terms of having a good performance, hopefully a result as well. Is something. I think there's not many away grounds that are harder than that ground, and I'm really interested in seeing where the team is against that level of opponent now, away from home especially. And it's something I'm looking forward to. I want to see, because I think if you play well at St James, and it's not just about playing well. I mean, we won the result like every other team. I don't think it's arrogant to say it, otherwise why are you in the Premier League? But I think a performance at St James's Park should give you the feeling that you can have a performance everywhere in this league,
Just a general question about the last year or so. The last time Burnley played Newcastle, they were relegated. Then you took over. How far do you think the football club has come since that time?
I don't know. It seems like, I know it's very recent actually, but so much has happened since that it feels like it's an eternity away for me. I don't know. I think I'd like to flip it the other way around and say how far can the club still go, and that for me is the exciting part of our club. But it could be a struggle. It was always going to be a struggle year one, but it could be a struggle one year and then it could be something really positive, or it can be a struggle every year. And I think we're on a path of hopefully struggling less years if we manage to do the job this year, and that's the type of squad we've got.
Just one final one for me, Vinny. Anass Zaroury obviously stood out in the game against Salford. How important a role has he got to play in the season ahead?
Is a talented player, so of course we look at him and think he's going to have an impact for us. But it's been a jump to the Premier League for everyone. So we had the conversation with Anass as well, and with other players, not just him, about the things that were really important for them to bring to the game, just to level up. And Anass is on that pathway, so whether it's this weekend or Tuesday or the week after that, he's going to be a player with a part to play for us, there's no doubt.
Have your players levelled up? How many players have got to that level, or does it take time?
I think when it happens, I think it'll be clear for everyone to see. At the moment, I think we can't rely on the individuals anyway. I don't think you go around the other teams, Sheffield and Luton and all the teams that came up. I don't think there's anyone that's going to say we hope that this guy's going to do it for us. It's not. Unfortunately, it's not possible. For us, it's really getting the team to be Premier League ready. And on a day like the game against United and Forest, and you feel like there's something there, but you have to prove it week in, week out, and there's no tougher test than Newcastle away from home, and that's for me actually exciting as a coach. I'm prepared for any scenario, but I obviously hope for the best, and not just hope. I believe in the best, and that's the mindset before we go there.
Wish you well for Saturday, Ben.
Yeah, thank you.
Matt Scrafton.
Hi, Vinny. Can I ask on Emmanuel Benson again? Is it just a swelling on the ankle or something more serious?
No, it was a serious knock, so it's a bit of both, and but nothing dramatic. Hopefully he'll heal fairly quickly, and with the international break, for him it comes at a good time actually.
Can I ask about Nathan Redmond as well? Wasn't involved on Tuesday. How's he getting on?
Making good progress. So again, international break. Hopefully there'll be a few players back by then.
Can I ask you about the set pieces, the importance you put on them? Obviously, you scored in the corner on Tuesday. What you made of set pieces in league games this season?
I think it's a general. I think it's generally understood now in the Premier League that this is a key part of the game. I don't need to tell you about the Championship. I mean, a lot of teams had that as the biggest part of the game plan. I think in the Premier League, of course, the quality of the delivery is better, and players are disciplined in executing the role, and that makes it a real threat in this league. Yeah.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks much.
Ivan, now you've had time to reflect on the United game. You've had a few days since then. Do you take heart that it needed a top four side to score a spectacular goal to beat you that day?
Yeah, but I can put everything into context as well. I think the Newcastle team we're going to face at the weekend are probably in better form at the moment, and have got just that confidence boost, which wasn't the case for United for obvious reasons, and so I can put it into context. But we can still look back at a game where we feel we could have had the points as well. And I don't think at the beginning of the season you'd say that there's many games like this where you'll leave the game feeling that you should have had a result or would have had a result. But I think, again, I'm convinced that, and that's why I really want a performance on Saturday, because I'm convinced that if you can have performances against those teams like this, as much as it hurts when you don't get the points, eventually you get the points.
Results aside, what you see on the pitch and in training, in terms of progress at this stage of the season, Are you ahead or behind where you'd like to have been?
You would have asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have said behind. You asked me after the Forest and United performance and Salford, I would say slightly ahead, but I'm cautious with this. I think it's going to be a good moment to assess during the international break, because we've got 3 games now, 3 completely different opponents, and that will complete the picture, I think, of where we are at this moment.
And just last one, Pep said the other day they couldn't have a private plane to get back from Newcastle. Any such travel issues for you guys on Saturday?
No, I think we're just a little bit further north, so we're slightly closer. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll move to the embargoed section now. So 10:30 tonight for the rest of the section.